Hello everyone, welcome to Andy Shed Live. This is series 12, episode number 19 for Sunday the 28th of May 2023. Hello everybody and welcome to the show. It is indeed time for another Andy Shed Live, another Sunday evening. It soon comes around, doesn't it? It comes around quite quick, it seems, these days. We are with you for the next hour and a half or so, perhaps. And my furry assistant Thor is here with me today. Are you going to come and say hello, Thor? Up, up, up. Are you coming up? No? No, you're not coming up. Oh, okay. Right. Good boy. Good boy. Thor. Thor. Good boy. Good boy. You won't jump up like Odin does to say hello. Do you, hey? Don't jump up, say hello, do you? No, you don't. No. But he's here. I promise you he's here. Aren't you? You're here. Yes, you are. Because you're a good boy. Yes. The Thor seal of approval, isn't it? Yeah. Right, anyway, good evening and welcome to the show, everybody. We are a little bit late. We're fashionably late as normal today. But who have we got with us? Who's joining us in the chat? We've got Dominic here, Penfold's here, Christopher's here, Fat Hobbit's here, Keith's here, Magette's here. Mark's here, Mark Stevenson, hi Mark, and Wesley's here as well. Right, and now look what everybody's been saying. Fat Hobbit said, looking forward to seeing seeing Dominic's photos. Yeah. Yeah, do you want to do an intro, Mark, for us? Yeah. And here's your host, Andy, from the shed. Yes. Not actually from the shed. Peter says, I met a woman this week who had a terrible smoking habit. She was a bad nun. Oh dear. They don't get any better, do they? They definitely do not get any better. Right. If anybody's got any jokes better than Peter's, please do send them to us via the website. There you go, there's the web address. It's got a contact us page on it, andyshed.coldpress.net. If you know a better joke than any of Peter's, and let's face it, you should do. Sorry, Peter. Send them there, andyshed.coldpress.net. We'll read them out for you next week or something. Right. We will crack on today. I've had some bits arrive this week. Anybody know what that is? Anybody know what that's off? If you do, you go to the top of the class. Tell you more about it a little bit later. But as folks are wanting to see photographs, I will see if I can get Dominic's photographs online, shall I? Now this might be a little bit involved, so just bear with me a minute while I do this, because it's not terribly easy to get these out of here, because I've got to go into a few things and just grab them. Where are we? When it opens, because this computer's quite slow. I don't know why. If anyone knows anything about computers, why is it slow at opening applications? Because it's really slow at opening applications. Right. Where are these photographs? Oh, perhaps he sent them to the wrong email address. Did he send them to the wrong email address? What email address did you send them to, Dominic? Oh, there they are. I've got them. Yeah. Right, I have got to save all these now. Into there. This will take a while, possibly. Right, I think we've saved the photos from that one. Right, more photographs. No, I pressed the wrong button. No, I don't think I have actually. Right, and there's some more somewhere. Oh, there, the third lot. Right, these are the arty ones. Are you all waiting in anticipation of this? I do hope so. Right, I think I've probably managed it now. I think that should be Dominic photos. Right, I've now got to work out how to do it. Right, image slideshow. Okay. That's the directory. Right, where is it? There. Just talk amongst yourselves a minute. That's the one. Okay. As usual, it comes out absolutely massive. So I've got to try and shrink it down a bit. Right. Now, that's not working right. Right, bear with me a sec. It says now I've got to use hotkeys, and I haven't got any hotkeys set up. Right, this is not going well tonight, is it? It normally goes better than this on a Sunday evening. hotkeys. We'll get there in a minute, I promise. Image slideshow. Right, so I do believe we've cracked it. Now the problem is he's not taken all of them in landscape view. So, if you send us photographs, please take them all in landscape view. Who's got eyes one above the other like that? Nobody. So, please take them in landscape view, and preferably 16:9 aspect ratio as well. Just like your widescreen telly. Right, okay, anyway, I think we've now got Dominic's photos here, so I think you should be able to see them if I click this. And these are all taken, of course, at the old Tramway Museum over at Crouch in Derbyshire, what they now call Crouch Tramway Village, or some nonsensical name like that. But, it's actually the National Tramway Museum. That's what it will always be to me. Can you see the problem with that? That says postal car on that tram, and there ain't no post box on it, from what I can see. Alright, so that is Sheffield 74, affectionately known as Little Louis. This tram was actually restored from bits when I was at Crouch. This came into service while I was there. In fact, towards the end of my tenure there, it was being restored a lot of the time I was there, and I did get I think I got a quick ride on it, sort of in the last days, but yeah, but it has been in service for a long time now. Sheffield 74, it's a short canopy car, and a four-wheel short canopy car is quite rare. There aren't many of those about. So that is Sheffield 74. I believe made out of 3 different bits. I believe the top deck was one tram, the bottom deck was another, and the trucks were another. But I can't tell you which one, if any of them, were Sheffield 74. I think maybe the bottom deck was Sheffield 74, but I'm not totally certain of it. And I assume it's still the case, but certainly when I was there, if you had a classic vehicle and parked it in the museum street for a while, you could get in for free, and somebody has done with their classic Jaguar here, by the looks of things. Quite a nice car. More classic cars come in, and this is a tram that wasn't there when I was there. Now, I don't know the number of this tram. I can't remember which one this is. This is a Blackpool built car. Now, originally there were 12 of these built. There was a prototype nicknamed Little Willie that's still in Blackpool, and then there were 11 others, and most of them, I think, still survive. Certainly until very recently there were 6 left in Blackpool. But when Blackpool had its alleged upgrade, then they got rid of most of them. I think there's 3 left now in Blackpool, but this is one of the 6 that remained. So 3 of them went away. One went to Christ, another one went to Beamish for a while, and then got exported to America. And I don't know where the other one went. I think the other one might have ended up in America as well. But this is an open boat car. It has been put back by Christ to more or less how it would originally have been in the 1930s. The prototype of these came out in 1933. So that one has been put back to how it originally was. I'm just catching up on the chat. I think Mark's got the answer to what the handsets were. We'll see if you're right in a bit, Mark. Peter says video quality this week is 144p, Andy. Have you got constrained bandwidth? No. And it's not dropping any frames either. I think it's probably, as far as I know, it's probably at your end. YouTube has been doing weird things. If you've got video quality at 144p, manually set your video quality. It should be better than that. Is anybody else suffering from bad video quality? Let me know if you are. Mark says he's got 720p. Yeah, that's what it should be, Mark. It should be in 720p. He also says there's a TARDIS at Christ. There is indeed, Mark, and I'll tell you, unfortunately, it is smaller on the inside. Right, I'm just going through the chat. Penfold says it's an open-top boat car tram. They must have had no rain back in the 1930s. You know something? I don't think they did have any rain in the 1930s. Because not only did Blackpool have 12 of those, they had some very similar buses, and they had some tow track trams as well, which these were the sort of later version of. You'll see one of the tow tracks, in fact the only one that survives, in a minute in the photos. Right, there's one of his photos taken the other way on. It doesn't come out right on the screen, but that's 74 going under the bridge there at Crouch. And that's an interesting shot of the trolley tower of the boat, which looks like it's got the original Blackpool blinds still in the destination display there. That's a shot you don't often see. With the wire coming down from the trolley base. That wire has got about 550 volts DC going through it, so don't touch it. In the depot now we have one of Dominic's black and white shots. This is LCC 106. It's a London tram. Has been working at Crouch for many years. I think it had a few years off and had a bit of an overhaul, but it's a long-standing Crouch vehicle. Used to be driven regularly by an old Londoner who could remember the trams in London, a chap called Cyril Smeaton. And I have spent many a day working on that car with Cyril in the past. And in the depots at Crouch, Dominic found this all-weather telephone. Now, I don't remember this. It looks like it's been there a long time. I really don't remember this. I assume it's a phone that was on the internal telephone system, but I really don't remember it. But it's very rare you used them in the depots anyway. But I really don't remember that one being there. And then this seems to be in a phone box. Where is this phone box though? Because this phone box wasn't there when I was there. And if you look at this, Christopher, what do you think that is? Because it's got the wrong handset to be a GPO phone. It looks like some sort of private Ericsson type thing, perhaps. But yeah, what is it that? Answers on a postcard. It is certainly not what is supposed to be in that phone box. Where was this, Dominic? Because if this was at Christ, this is a phone box that wasn't there when I was there. They only had the old A&B box when I was there. Photo at the back of one of the cars that's there, and another one. I don't really think that's old enough to be parked there, though, do you? And 74 again going under the bridge. A very moody black and white shot there. And then this is a lighthouse. If you go to the Tramway Museum and you go and have a ride up the line, if you look to your right hand side as you're going up on top of the cliff, you'll see this. And people always used to say to me, what is it? And I always used to say, it's a lighthouse. Because it is a lighthouse. And then people would say, why is there a lighthouse on top of a hill in Derbyshire? And I say, to keep the ships away. And they say, but there aren't any ships in Derbyshire. I said, no, but there would be if there wasn't a lighthouse. It is actually a memorial to the Sherwood Foresters Regiment, and the idea being the light from it shines out over the kind of area that they came from. Doesn't work necessarily like that, because there's lots of hills and things in Derbyshire, but you can see the light in it from miles around, and you can go up it, as I believe Dominic did from some of the photos. Right, these are not in order, are they? Because we're back to his cars now at the museum, back to his Jaguars and things. The building behind that car there, that wasn't there in my time at Christ. That was the wash bay behind a wooden hoarding in my time there. That building is relatively new. And this thing, this is the brush budgie. This is the Falcon, Eagle, whatever, I think it's a Falcon allegedly, that used to be on top of the brush building at Loughborough. Until they found it had got rather a lot of rot in it, and so they had to take it down. It's made out of wood, it's carved out of wood, and it's gold in actual fact. It's all gold leafed. They found it had got a lot of rot in it, and then I think some apprentice or something did it up, and it ended up in the exhibition hall at Christ. But it is the brush budgie, and in my time there, somebody one Christmas got some gold foil from somewhere and manufactured it a nest full of eggs, which it had for a while. Wasn't me, I didn't do it. Another London tram there, that's the front dash panel of 159, and the sadly withdrawn lead 602 behind it, Pussyfoot, which I have worked on. A very nice tram. They were offered a lot of money to fully restore and refurbish lead 602, and they turned it down very controversially, because their new sort of head of collections or whatever, one of their paid staff who isn't actually old enough to remember any trams, said, oh, we can't restore it because it's in original condition and it will lose its originality. Well, I'll tell you now, it's not in original condition. It's been repainted and repanelled at least once, possibly twice, while it's been at Cryche. It is definitely not that original. The paint is new, a lot of the panels are new. It is not in any way, shape or form original, but they think it is. And here's the other Blackpool tram that we were talking about. This is what the boat cars replaced. This is a tow strike. Blackpool had a lot of tow strikes. It had some four-wheelers, and then it had this batch of bogie cars as well. This is Blackpool 166 that finished its life as a mobile TV studio. They actually built a TV studio on board it. They coupled it up to one of its sister vehicles and put some cameras on that, and the two went round as a twin set to broadcast live pictures of the illuminations on BBC TV at some point in the 1950s. I would love to see the programme. I've got a horrible feeling it probably wasn't recorded as it was live, but I would love to see the programme that this car and its sister vehicle made. But yeah, it took two trams full of equipment to broadcast live from the Blackpool illuminations. Now you can do it with the mobile phone that's in your pocket. And this is something that was only just being built in my time there as well. This is the Red Lion pub that was moved from, I believe it was Stoke-on-Trent. It was moved brick by brick, and there was a guy called Jim who at some point took every brick of that pub home with him in the back of his car, cleaned them all and brought them back. And then it was put up by one of these sort of job creation, youth training scheme type scheme things, and that's how they did it. I believe the idea was it was going to be an extension to the cafe, because the old cafe was just to the right hand side of that. You can't see it in that shot. I don't even know if it's still there or not, the old wooden cafe building. But that is the Red Lion Public House. I have no clue what they use it for, but it is there nonetheless. And there's 166 again at Glory Mine having its trolley turn. They've obviously not got a reverser there these days. They did used to have a trolley reverser at Glory Mine there, and there was a bit of a mine shaft thing at the side of the track. And one night, Sheffield 510 was using the trolley reverser, and it snagged the trolley and the wires. It ripped the wheel off the head of the trolley pole, and nobody could find it. And we think it went down the mine shaft, but we're not sure. And this is something that wasn't there in my time there as well. This is from the Croydon Tram Link. This is one of the engineering vehicles that now fulfills an engineering role at Crouch. It was, I believe, donated to Crouch or something from Croydon Tram Link. Makes you wonder what Croydon Tram Link though now uses for engineering, doesn't it? So, and we're back to the beginning there with Sheffield 74 again. So those are the photos that were taken by Dominic on his little trip up into the Derbyshire Hills, sort of a week ago, fortnight ago, whenever it was. Right, what is everybody saying? Wesley says the video frame rate is fine here. Dominic says, I was thinking they were being brave having both open Blackpool trams out. Yeah, they were fairly, weren't they? They don't normally do that. Christopher says he's got his new telephone, N1900E244, and it's his new CNET phone, he says. And he had to fix a dial 21 on it. Cool. Mark Stevenson says, the police box, is it wood or is it concrete? Right, Mark. Right. Alright, I'm going to put this to bed once and for all. I hope somebody at the BBC is listening to this. Doctor Who, travelling around the galaxy in his little wooden box, as they often say on the show. This shows what Doctor Who writers know about the world. The type of police box that you see on Doctor Who is based on exactly the same police box that stands at Christ, and it's in this shot of 74. It's there, you can see on the left hand side. That is the design of police box, because there were different designs of police box. There's a different one still in Sheffield City Centre if you go and have a look for it, but it's totally different to that. But that is the same design of police box as used on Doctor Who. Now the one on Doctor Who has morphed a little bit over the years. The windows have got bigger and smaller, and it's kind of slightly changed in dimensions and things. But basically it's based on that police box, the one on Doctor Who. Now, that police box is made of concrete. The only bit of it that's wooden is the doors. All the rest of it is concrete. Concrete sides, concrete back, concrete floor, concrete roof. Only one part of it is the doors. But when they were making Doctor Who at the BBC back in the 60s and 1970s, they made a prop police box, of course, that they could push around on casters around Television Centre. In fact, it remained at Television Centre for many, many years after Doctor Who had finished. Many years after the props department at TV Centre had been shut down. The one prop that remained was Doctor Who's TARDIS, and they used to keep shoving it around the fire lanes and hiding it because it was on casters. And it wasn't very heavy because it was wooden. Now, some writer obviously then saw this prop and got the idea that police boxes are wooden. And now they talk about is wooden police box. It's wrong. They're concrete. They are concrete. They should be talking about is concrete police box, because they properly definitely are concrete. It's an error in Doctor Who that they've never put right. But yes, I'm glad you brought it up because it's one of those things that they've never corrected in Doctor Who. Somebody must know, but it's just never put it right. So yeah, Dominic, it is indeed concrete. Gambo is here. Hello Gambo, he says, hey Pete, I'm here. I'm just stuck in the kitchen making dinner. Stav's not posted pics of my junction boxes. You alright, Andy and Wesley? The boxes I bought to test the system of my BT Ultimate 106 ... were just extension ones, not master sockets, and I thought I bought, but the system works great now. Right, so you got it fixed then, Gambo. That's excellent. I saw you've got some phones on eBay as well. Dominic says the event at Christ was a special Daimler centenary, right from the end of Daimler production, based on the Jaguar XJ308. Why did they not have any buses there then? Chesterfield used to have loads of Daimler buses, including one of the worst buses ever built, the Daimler Roadliner. It was diabolical. Christopher says that phone in that phone box looked like either an Australian PMG 401 or a GEC 400 or a GPO 700. I doubt it'll be a GPO 700. If it is, it's a very rare thing. Yeah, could be a GEC 400 or an Australian 401. Dominic says, the weather was so good I could see Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station from the top of the memorial about 20 miles away. Yeah, not all your photos have come out in that thing, have they, Dominic? There should have been more photos than that, because there was some up top of the stand as well, and it didn't come out in the carousel there, did they? I'll have to look into it and find out why they didn't show up. Mark says the Brush Falcon is known by many as Budgie. Yes, it is. The Brush Budgie is what we used to call it. The Underpants of Doom is with us. He says the handset that I have here is off a whole phone. Possibly. It possibly is. You are quite right. Those of you who said it's off a centenary neophone, you are quite right in that. It is indeed off a centenary neophone. I've got bits of one here, but I've not got all of one. I've just got bits, and it's driving me mad because I've got two of those. And I've got one of those and not the rest of it. So I want a case. A dial I can do because they're normal GPO dials, but I want a case for a centenary neophone, also known as a horseshoe phone. There you go, there's the bits. I just want a case. I can do the dial because it's a normal GPO dial, but I need a case for one of these. So if anybody's got a case for a horseshoe phone, a centenary neophone, please let me know, because I'm looking for one. Mark says a police box is a public telephone kiosk or call box for the use of members of the police or for members of the public. Yeah, the public phone is accessed from the outside normally, Mark. There's like a little door that's just got a phone in the access from the outside. Some police boxes we used to like lock criminals in as a temporary measure until they could get them to the police station and stuff like that. I believe there's one in Trafalgar Square like that. Mark says it's a 1929 Mackenzie Trench design police box. Between 1929 and 1938, approximately 1,000 of these were built, with 685 of them installed in London, and very few now left. Gambo says he's got some phones on eBay, but they're not selling. Don't know why. Don't know why. Mark says, although the dimensions and colours of the TARDIS used in Doctor Who have changed many times, none of the BBC props have ever been faithful replicas of the original. I think that's probably right, Mark. Yeah, they never get it quite right for various reasons. I think originally they made it a bit smaller than it should have been. Just for ease of getting it around the studios, because Television Centre's studios, most of them are actually quite small, so they tended to make things a bit smaller than they should have done. says the changes in the TARDIS have been explained within the context of the show. That comedian circuits tend to display a bit of drift if left in the same setting for too long. Well, what can you say? What can you say about Doctor Who? Somebody once said to me, if you can't say something positive, don't say anything at all. So I'm not saying anything at all about Doctor Who. Other than bring back Blake 7 because it's better. P. Ham is here and says the Ronquius telephone is a GEC auto table telephone. A 1000 PAX. I have one in my collection. Excellent. Yeah, it could be a GEC actually. I think I've got one somewhere lurking. But yeah, very close to being a 700 though. Very similar to a prototype 700 for the GPO. Oh, Jim's with us. Hello, Jim. He says, I fixed the hum in my 746T. It was indeed the transmitter, a red 21A. The hum went after I swapped a 1980 transmitter for a 1983 one. Right. So you still put a electronic transmitter in it then, Jim? Because the official fix for that home was to put a carbon granule mic in it. That was the official fix. Put a carbon granule mic back in. But maybe they got better at the electronic versions by 1983. But certainly originally the official fix was to take the electronic one out and put a carbon granule one in. Nonic says most of those photos were taken using a 1998 Pentax MZ5N with a zoom lens on it. Cool. Christopher says, did you see the photo of my new phone, Andy? I have, Christopher. I've got it somewhere. I'll have a rummage in a minute for it. Right. Mark says they should remaster Blake 7. Yeah, well, I'm not sure if they can, Mark, because I think it was shot on video, so I don't think it would upscale terribly well. But yeah, they should do something with it. It's amazing how good Blake 7 is. If you've never seen Blake 7, if you are a sci-fi fan, if you've never seen Blake 7, it's all on YouTube. Go and have a look at it, because it is way better than Doctor Who was. Doctor Who was always a bit twee and kidding. Blake 7 was far more grown up and darker right from the get-go. But it was on sort of 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night-ish. It was on prime time. But yeah, really good show, Blake 7, and it holds up even now. In fact, it holds up better than Doctor Who does. And I don't know what I've done with it, but somewhere. Oh, there it is. I've got a Liberator bracelet. Not painted yet. It needs to be painted. But this is off the original Blake 7 ship. This is a teleport bracelet off the Liberator. But I need to paint it. But this is one of my favourite things that I've ever 3D printed, because it closes with a really reassuring click. But yeah, a teleport bracelet. If 3D prints had been around in the 1970s, because the BBC would have killed for some more of these, because they all went missing apparently. Blake 7 was a really good show, and ran for one more season than it should have. All the cast thought it was finishing when the Liberator blew up. All the cast and crew thought Blake 7 was finishing, and that was the finale of it. That was the end of it. And it was only when they actually watched it go out on air on BBC One that the announcer said Blake 7 will return next year. Only then did they know they'd still got a job, because they all thought it had done. So there was a last minute another season for it, which we're grateful for, because it gave us Glynis Barber as Sue Lynn. That extra series of Blake 7. £100 of Doom says, who sang Little Willie back in the 70s? I've got no idea. Mark Stevenson says Glynis Barber wants to play Servalan in a Blake 7 reboot. That's an interesting thought. How old would Glynis Barber be now? She was 30 something when she did Dempsey and Makepeace, and that was 35 years. My God, Glynis Barber must be well into her 60s by now. Somebody Google it. Go on, Mark, Google it. Tell me how old Glynis Barber is. That'll upset me. Yeah. Mark says Terry Nation, the man who created the Daleks, also created Blake 7. Very true. Yeah, he did. It was a very. You don't actually hear much about Terry Nation, the person, but he'd got a very sort of creative mind. I mean, he came up with the only monster that Doctor Who ever had that didn't look like a bloke dressed in a tinfoil suit, and then he came up with Blake 7 from scratch. Really good. I wonder what other things Terry Nation wrote. I wonder if it was like Gene Roddenberry and wrote a load of stuff at the time that never saw the light of day. Because yeah, I'd like to know what other things he thought of. Apparently, Glynis Barber is 67. Yeah, I thought she must be getting on a bit. Well, she's too old then to play Servalan, isn't she? Because Servalan's not actually that old. Yeah. But should they reboot Blake 7? I'm not sure about that. Really not sure about that, because when they reboot things, they normally mess them up. I'm looking at you, Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, reboots are not normally anywhere near as good as the originals. I've seen so many reboots over the years. The Bionic Woman got a reboot that ran for less than a series. Terrible. Of course, Battlestar Galactica got a reboot. I just couldn't watch it. It was just awful, the Battlestar Galactica reboot. Really hated that one. That was probably the worst reboot of all time. What else has had a reboot? Charlie's Angels had a reboot. Well, it had a kind of reboot for the movies, and then it had a reboot for a TV series as well. The TV series failed. The movies did okay. Mainly due to Drew Barrymore steering it in the right direction, I think. Because I believe Drew Barrymore now owns the rights to Charlie's Angels. That had a reboot. Treasure Hunt with Annika Rice, that had a reboot with Susie Perry doing it on the BBC. That was awful, the reboot. Interesting thing about Treasure Hunt, turns out somebody I know, a friend of mine, it turns out is the, let me get this right, I think he's the brother-in-law of the creator of Treasure Hunt, Malcolm Hayworth. And Malcolm is very much alive still, apparently, although he is now retired. But yeah, so many things have had reboots that have just been pants. The only one that was clever was Dallas, because they didn't reboot Dallas, it just carried on with some of the original cast. As did Crossroads. When Crossroads came back, that wasn't a reboot, that carried on with the original cast, or some of the original cast. But the things that go back and start again and reboot are almost always dire. The only one I can think of that is actually a good reboot is All Creatures Great and Small. And I do like that one. Channel 5 have made a good job of that, but it's one on its own. Penfold says there was a Professionals reboot. I didn't even know there was one. CI5, the new Professionals, he said it was pure poo, I can imagine. Mark says Treasure Hunt was presented by Kenneth Kendall in 1982 to 1989 and Dermot Murnaghan in 2002 2003. Yeah, it was only one series though, I think, that 2002-2003 one. Like I say, it had Susie Perry doing it. The BBC, for some reason, put them on every day for a fortnight at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and thought people would watch them. Idiots. Yeah, Mark says, in the original version of Treasure Hunt, the presenter was BBC newsreader Kenneth Kendall, which it was, and the Skyrunner was Annika Rice, which she was. Then Annika left and Annabel Croft took over. And when Annabel Croft took over, they also did a thing called Interceptor for ITV, which was equally good. I liked Interceptor. It only ran for one series in a Christmas special, Interceptor, but I really liked Interceptor. And in the first series, I'd forgotten this, as Mark said, in the first series, Kenneth Kendall was joined in the studio for the handover of the first clue by the original clue setter, who was Anne Mio, who actually writes the questions and that for quite a number of quiz shows. I think she used to write all the questions for 15 to 1, Anne Mio. But yeah, and then they got Pouty Girl in the studio, and then they got Wincy Willis. If you go and look at an old episode of Treasure Hunt, when I say Pouty Girl, you'll immediately know, when you see her, you'll immediately know who I mean. I can't remember her name. But she came before, I think she did 1 or 2 series before Wincy Willis. Christmas has been working on his telephones, he says. He's wired his weatherproof railway phone back to his phone line. Excellent. He's been doing more than I've managed to be getting on with, that is for sure. Yeah, not really managed to get on with much of anything here. The red phone is coming on. I'll move my bits of near phone. The red telephone here is coming on. I will show you in just a minute. I've polished it up a bit more now. So basically now there's just the line cord and that to do on it. But apart from that, it's actually not looking too bad now. But the cords are pure pants still, so we do need to take the cords off and do something with the cords. So that's not an easy ask, because you have to take the handset apart and then get that out of there, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do, but there is a cheating way of doing it, where you can leave the handset together and wash the cord while it's still attached to the handset. Just detach the whole thing out of the phone. Why is the light so bad in here these days? It's really overexposed, that, isn't it? And I don't know why. Yeah. His pants it is. What happens if I put the light on? Does it make it any better? Yeah, it does actually. Right. Yeah, you've got an overexposed picture. Put more lights on, it becomes underexposed. You tell me what the logic is. Yeah, so what we're going to do is get this curly cord and that off here, because it's driving me mad. It really does need a wash. So we'll endeavour to wash the curly cord, shall we? See what happens. So, no. Of course, we're having it's all fell apart. That has come off, as they so often do. Right. Thor's very quiet. I don't know why he's so quiet there today, but he is. So here we are. Now this is an interesting one with where the handset is wired on this, because if we take out the handset thing, you see it's not wired like a normal 706. Instead of it going red, green, blue and white there, blue is down here at the side of the white, for reasons that I know not. So we'll get those out of there, and then we'll see if we can do something with this very dirty cord because the cord on this is absolutely filthy. It's barely red. The other cord on it, I think, is actually a brown one, or a grey one rather, that's gone brown. So I don't think that's right at all, which tells me this phone has been messed with. So I'm going to go and try to clean this cord up, and using the magic of technology you should hopefully be able to come with me if I can get this streamy thing to work. So let's see if we can do this, shall we? Right, where is it? Right. Right. So you should now be sort of seeing this. Right, let's see what. Right, so what's the sound like on that now? Is that kind of sensible? Right, so here is the phone handset, and what we are going to do is take it and give it a wash. And it really is as simple as just washing the thing in soapy water. It really, really is that easy. That's all we're going to do to it. It's going to give it a wash in some soapy water and hope that it works. Right, I've just got to put you down on there. So yeah, we'll stick it in on. Now the thing is, obviously, don't put the handset in the soapy water. Just put the cable in it, and so wash it up liquid. Just dosh it around in there, and hopefully it'll restore the colour. Like I said, don't get the actual handset itself in the water, because obviously we've still got all the electronics in the handset, but you get a kind of slightly abrasive sort of pan scrubber, but not really a scourer type thing. And you just run it down the cord like that. Make sure you try and clean up the grommet on the end of the cord, and you just do that, and you'll probably find the cord kind of unwinds a bit as you do this with warm water. Don't worry about it, because we are going to sort that out later. Well, some of you will have seen me do this many times before, but there are one or two new people on here who won't have seen it, so yeah, can you see that? It looks better already, doesn't it? Alright, can you see the difference? This is the dirty end, and this is the clean end. Can you see the difference in that? You can, I can see the difference on the picture. I'm sure you can. And some people say, why don't you put a new cord on? Well, as Crouch would say, it destroys the originality. And there's nothing wrong with this cord, it's just dirty. and they do respond quite well to cleaning, of course. So. So we are getting there. I can't see the chat for a minute. I will go and check it when I've just done this. But I think that is probably about as good as it gets. Doing the grommet on the other end now. There, does that look better? Well, it looks better to me here. I don't know if you're getting the full benefit of it, but it certainly looks better to me. Right. You asleep, Thor? Looks like Thor's asleep. So yeah, yeah. So you see now, it's kind of come uncurled a bit, if you like. We will correct that in a minute, the uncurliness of it. So what we do to correct the uncurliness is basically wind it the opposite way to what it was wound before. So you kind of have to force it to wind the other way a bit. And it will tighten up. Oh, it has got a nick in it. Cord has got a nick in it. Oh. Can you see that? Damn and blast, it's not in perfect condition. That's a shame. Right, and can you see how tight now that top bit of the cord is that I've rewound compared to the other bit? Again, just talk amongst yourselves while we do this. Yes. It's not a fast process for storing telephones, is it? Oh, does anybody fancy a trip, by the way, to Kent? I've got to pick up some phones from Kent. Anybody fancies a day trip to Kent? I've got to go kind of sooner rather than later. It's a 200. I think as the crow flies, I think it's 185 mile. I've got to go to Rochester, but I think it's kind of 200 mile-ish each way, and I've got to do it in a day. So if anybody fancies a day trip to Kent, let me know. Right, nearly done this. Nearly at the end of it. And you'll see in a minute how it's magically all tightened up. See? Right, we'll take it back, shall we? And as we go and take it back, you can say hello to Thor. There he is. Hello, Thor. Say hello. Say hello, Thor. Aren't you talking? Not talking. You're a good boy, aren't you, though? Do you want to go outside? Do you want to go outside? He wants to go outside, I think. Go on, then. There you go. Oh, good boy. Good. Oh, that's it then. Aren't you going for a run or anything? No? No? Oh. No, dear. All right. All right, you lay there a minute then. All right. That's Thor. He's decided that he's not going to go terribly far by the looks of it. Meanwhile, I will refit this to this phone and we'll switch back the camera as well onto one where you can actually see and hear a little bit better. I always forget to put the audio back up when I do that. You should now be able to see and hear me back on here. The software that we use to do that, by the way, is a thing called Larix Broadcaster, because somebody did say, what is the software that does that? It's a thing called Larix Broadcaster. That lets you do that and link it up to OBS for those of you who want to know about streamy stuff. Right, look at your phone now. Look how sort of bright and shiny the line cord is now. I mean the curly cord is now. Look, it's brilliant. It's like totally restored. It's come up really well actually, that one. So now we've got to put it back on the telephone. So it's red and green at the top, and there, red, there, green. The blue would normally go there, but it doesn't on this because it's an N1900, and they are sometimes, not always, but sometimes different. White goes down there where it normally is. And blue goes alongside it. So there we have it, and then we swap those over. You put them in sort of the wrong side sort of thing. I have no idea why they do that, but they do. And that sort of, and just some engages back in there like that. And I'm never going to be able to get this case back on here, am I? Because I took it off without taking the finger wheel off, and we all know with British telephones that's a bad idea. I'm just going to see if I can get the dog to come back in. Thor, you going in? Thor, come on, good boy. It's a bit too cold to have the door open. It. Good boy. Good boy, Thor. Good boy. Good boy. He's come back in. Out of the cold. Right, so now we've got to try and get this back together. Right. and the difficulty will be getting this dial ring back on, because I had trouble with this last week, if you remember, when I was messing with it, and I'm probably going to have trouble again. In fact, I'm going to try doing it with a different back ring, see if that is any better. Right, here we go. So line that up with that, and line that up with that. There must be an easy way of doing this, and I do not know what it is. If anybody can enlighten me, feel free. Got it quite in the right place. The idea's there, but we're not quite where we need to be. Oh. Oh. Almost cracked it, I think. Right. There. That's it, isn't it? Now I've got to get it back on there now. Right. Now for the fun bit. Right. So that goes on there. That goes over there. Well, hello. Right, that was too easy. They don't normally go that easy. What have I done wrong? Because it's not normally that easy, is it? So, yes, done something wrong there. Too easy that. I'll get penalised for that tomorrow. Not going that well. Right, there we go. Right then. So that's on there, that's on there, and I've just realised these are the opposite way around to what they normally are, but that's on there, and now look at that now. I mean, before, that curly cord was so dirty, it was almost the same colour as this, and this, I think, is theoretically a dark grey cord. This one, off a two-tone grey phone, but it was almost that colour, it was so dirty. And look at it now, it's red, like the rest of the phone. So there is one of the London ex-telephone rentals N1900s, all more or less restored. We now just need to change this grey line cord, which is wrong anyway. So we just need to change that, and we should then be laughing. We should be in business, as it were. Right, what is everybody up to in the chat? The Underpants of Doom says Edinburgh. has lots of police boxes still. Does it? I've not been to Edinburgh for a very, very long time. He also says, a rare Siemens S12E019 centenary neophone horseshoe phone, 1950s, unsold, see similar items, £88.88. Yes, if they're trying to get £88.88 for it, that's probably why it's unsold. In 1957's, says Mark, Siemens S12E019, the successor of Siemens Brothers and later to be bought out by AEI, produced a centenary neophone. It was never adopted by the post office, who were working on the 700 type, but it was used by a Hull telephone company and abroad, as well as on private systems. Yes, they were. I don't know why the GPO didn't adopt them really, but they are a bit plasticky. They are a bit lightweight and plasticky, and maybe the GPO thought because they had to like be rented. Maybe the GPO thought something this light and plasticky. Maybe they thought they'd be forever going out and replacing them because they'd break. Because the cases are even worse than the handsets. I mean, the handset is really, you know, it's sort of worthy of the pound shop. This is really, but, and a lot of the cases on the ones that I've seen have been broken actually. So maybe they were right not to adopt them. But they were groundbreaking. They were the first phones to have a printed circuit board in them, apart from anything else. Nigette says, I spotted a nice little Smith's electric clock. Yes, it came from a car boot sale. That little Smith's electric clock that you spotted, and it's still got the Smith's electric gubbins in it. Much to the horror of people and modern electricians who say, "Oh no, yeah, mains electric clocks are dangerous. You should put a battery mechanism in that." That's Steve on the Repair Shop. Do you watch the Repair Shop programme on the TV? When he got an electric clock in and he put a modern battery mechanism in it, I nearly threw a brick at the TV. Very, very surprised at him doing that. He should have known better. Dominic says, I think he must have seen Thor. Yeah. Mark says, hello, Thor. Everybody's saying hello to you, Thor. Christopher says, your red N1900 E241 looks somewhat like my N100 E244. Yeah, it'll be very much related, Christopher. Yours is a 244 though, because it's grey, and mine's a 241 because it's red. Well, so the phone uses a transmitter 13. I think he lifted this from Wikipedia, which will probably not be working that well. But you can put a transmitter insert number 21 in instead. Why? Why don't you just leave the 13 in? Make the 13 work again. All you have to do is take it apart and stir up the carbon granules, because the carbon granules will have got a bit damp over the years and stuck together. All you have to do is carefully take it apart, stir up the carbon granules, put it back together again, and normally then they work okay. I have done it with transmitters before now. I think I did it with a trim phone one, I think. The Underpants of Doom says, I haven't seen Blake 7 since it was first broadcast in the late 70s. Yeah, late 70s, early 80s it was on, wasn't it? I think it finished about 1982, something like that. I don't think it's ever been repeated on the telly. I don't think it's been repeated, but it's certainly all up on YouTube, so go and have a look on YouTube. The Underpants of Doom says, Glynis Barber does not look 67. She looks around 50-ish. Does she? I've not seen her for years. I've not seen her since she popped up in the rebooted Crossroads. Dominic says, I'm going to try and go to the Ravenglass and Nestdale Railway soon, near Wesley's neck of the woods, I believe. And the Underpants of Doom also says, Starsky and Hutch was remade in 2004 as a film. Not good. Oh God, yeah, it was terrible, that film, I remember that. I saw the trailer and it was more than enough. Mark Stevenson said, Lost in Space. You know something, I didn't like Lost in Space first time round, let alone second time round. Minder reboot was bad, says the Underpants of Doom, with that guy from EastEnders. Yes. Yeah, reboots, not a good idea in general. Not a good idea. I am now I've done my phone here. Now got to Google it now. Just got to Google it and attempt to find out what Glynis Barber looks like now. You've all done it already, haven't you? Now this is from 5 years ago, 1985. Born on 20th of October 1955. She's from South Africa apparently. No, that's her in 2007. Apparently she'd been in Dempsey and Makepeace, EastEnders, Emmerdale, Night and Day, Blake 7 and Hollyoaks. Well, not all Hollyoaks against her. And she married Michael Brandon, a co-star from Dempsey and Makepeace in 1989. It doesn't say they're divorced. Are they still married? Yeah. And she does have a website apparently, which is here. Would you like to have a look at Glynis Barber's website? Go on. Before I go, we will attempt to show you Glynis Barber's website. Not quite sure how we're going to do this, but yeah, there it is. The official website of Glynis Barber, glynisbarber.com. Surprisingly, yeah. In 2019, she joined the cast of The Outpost. Yeah, if you want tips for aging beautifully and naturally, apparently you can get Ageless by Glynis Barber. Right, gotta go media gallery now. Why is there not a picture of her as Harriet Makepeace? Looks totally different to what I remember in some of these photos. Oh, the one at the bottom there. That's when she did Harriet Makepeace. That's the Glynis Barber as Harriet Makepeace. And that. Oh, what's happened there? Yeah, that's somehow gone wrong. But that top photo there, that's when she was playing Harriet Makepeace. I'm pretty sure of it. But she was in EastEnders. I had no idea she was in EastEnders. No idea she did EastEnders. Must have missed that. And of course, as Sulin, you'll see her as Sulin there with Slave the computer. Who remembers Slave? After Zen met his demise, and Slave took over for the final series. Still sounded the same though, didn't he? Right, so anyway, yeah, that's what's happened to Glynis Barber. So hello Glynis, if you're watching this. Hello. How did you get to be South African and have a name like Glynis? I'd always just assumed she was Welsh. But apparently I'm wrong. So yeah. Right, anyway, that is about as far as we're going to go for today, because it's gone 8 o'clock, and Thor's got to have his tablets because he's got a bit of an itchy patch on his skin, and he's having some tablets for it. So I have now got to go and conceal some tablets in a bit of cheese to get Thor to eat them. But before I go, I'll just take one final look at the chat. The Underpants of Doom says Magnum PI was redone. Didn't know they'd redone Magnum PI. Marxine says Randall and Hopkirk was rebooted too. Oh, didn't they do that with Vic? Did they do that with Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer, Randall and Hopkirk? I tell you another one that was awful. The Likely Lads with Ant and Dec doing it. Yeah. Yeah, Lost in Space. Minder. Yeah. Dominic says, speaking of Crossroads, wasn't there a terribly wooden character called Amy Turtle? And I think there was in the very early days of it, Dominic. I can't remember her, but yeah, she's legendary. The Underpants of Doom says, did the Crossroads Hotel not burn down? It did, yes. Well, it was a motel. It wasn't a hotel, it was a motel originally. The Crossroads Motel. Allegedly somewhere in Birmingham, because it was made by ATV, which was the ITV Birmingham area franchisee at the time. And then they lost their franchise and became Central, and then it was taken over by Central. And they did burn the hotel down. Actually, all they did to burn the hotel down, or the motel down, all they did was they took the set that was reception, which was the main set on Crossroads, outside into the middle of a field, waited for night time to come, lit it as they would if it was in a TV studio, so they had mobile lights and lit it, and then set fire to it. And they did it at night so they could get the lighting right. And I think it burnt down at night in the story, because I believe it was bonfire night, and they don't know, some stray sparks from a bonfire got in, or there'd been some sort of kids hanging around it. They think these kids set fire to it, think it was arson or something. but all the people from the hotel were outside at a bonfire party and turned around and then saw the motel in flames. But all they did was burn down one of the sets that they just took out the studio, put it in the middle of a field, set it on fire, and it was the actual set that they burnt down. And then they got a new set which was much smaller, and yeah, that was the beginning of Crossroads going wrong, sort of thing, when that happened. It never really recovered from that. But yeah, the thing I remember about Crossroads is the closing titles that did a very clever crossing thing. One came in this way and stayed, and then went off that way, and another one came up and stayed, and then went. Or did they go down? Did they go up or down? I think they went up, didn't it? One came in and one went up, and they never hit each other. And it was a very, very clever thing to do in a pre-computer age. These crossing titles, very, very clever to do without the aid of computers. I've got an idea how they did it, but it was clever. But that's the thing I remember most about Crossroads. Yeah. So there you go. That is about it for another day. Penfold says, what type of cheese are you giving Thor? Is it camembert or brie? It's mature cheddar, actually. We have to put it in cheese to disguise his tablets. Christopher says, my N1900 phone is original, but someone has slightly bodged the Australia 605 plug onto the original line cord. Yes, they have. Oh, I was going to find that photo of Christopher's, wasn't I, before we go. I'll find it for next week. I'll find it out for next week, because I've just got into my photos, and for some reason all my photos now seem to be of Grease Barber. So we'll put it right for next week. So thanks for watching once again, everybody. Remember, if you like what you have seen here and you are not one already, you can join us on Patreon. It's here, patreon.com/Andy Shed. Stick with it, because I've got a bit of an announcement coming up in a moment or two. And also, remember, if you want to get in touch with us or anything, you can through the website, which you'll find here, andyshed.coldpress.net is the website to go there. And also remember, we have the shop as well, because we don't often talk about the shop. andysemporium.coldpress.net for various phone bits and 3D printed stuff, and yeah, just bits and bobs. Right. Oh, and the forum, gpotelephones.proboards.com. How many more things can there possibly be? That's it now. Yeah, we do have the telephone forum there, gpotelephones.proboards.com. But if you prefer to watch us on YouTube, you might not have to wait a week, because hopefully, being a bank holiday tomorrow, we are going to be doing this again live from the radio station. We did it. Was it Easter we did it? We did a live from the radio station, and we're going to have another go at some point, hopefully tomorrow, probably about lunchtime, early afternoonish. So remember to click the notification thing, that little bell icon thing on YouTube, so you get notified that when we're on. If you want to see us at the radio station tomorrow, and there's some phones stacked up there as well that we will have a look at also. So that's an extra Andy Shed live from the radio station, right from the radio studio at Plesley Vale tomorrow. But from me for now, have a fantastic evening, whatever you are doing. Unfortunately, the sun has gone away here. It's been a bit dull today, so not boding terribly well to be outside for the bank holiday weekend. But yeah, we do what we can, don't we? So we will see you live from Plesley tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Well, in about 12 hours or so anyway. Gambo says, I'm working to Onwards in the morning, so may miss you, so see you all next week. Well, you'll be able to watch it back later, Gambo. Wesley says, I use fig rolls to disguise my old dog's tablets. Fig rolls? Would your dog rather eat fig rolls than the tablet? A dog who likes fig rolls. Thor, do you want a fig roll? He doesn't look keen, I have to say. He doesn't look keen. Right, that's it. We are going for now. We will see you tomorrow, or if you can't join us tomorrow, next week. See you, everybody. Bye for now.